everybody, thanks once again for joining me here on Lisa Horton Crafts. Okay, let's make a start then. It's not a difficult card. In fact, it's one of the most simple cards that I think I've made for a long time. But I wanted to use the very festive season papers. Absolutely superb pad of papers. These, along with the Christmas Romance, were the Christmas papers that Lisa bought out last year. But I have to say they're probably two of my most favourite pads that she's ever bought out. So I'm using a very festive season, the 8x8 paper pad. I'm also using the fabulous washi roll, and then to finish off I shall also be using the gorgeous epoxy domes, all in stock at Lisa Horton Crafts. So I'm also using the POINSETTIA embossing folder and matching die. Not in stock at the moment, but hopefully will be back. I'm also using the Festive double layered sentiments because I just think they're just an underrated set of stamps and dies, and I just think they're really fun sentiments to use on a card. And then I'm using the nested stitch bubble squares, passing over that very quickly, and I'm saying no more about those. So this is where we're headed today. It's the easiest easel card I think I've ever made. It's a twisted easel, obviously, but I just like the concept. I just think they look classy when you send them out to a friend. I just think they look really lovely. So this is my easel card, and these flowers here are off the washi roll. Okay, this is off the paper pad, as is this one. And then I've used my nested bubble squares for the piece in the middle where I'm going to write my greeting to my whoever I send it to. Then this is from the embossing folder and matching die. And when I did this the other day, I realised once I'd cut it and put it all together, I thought, no, it's the wrong colour. It's the wrong red and it's the wrong green. So I added some waxes to sort of dull down the brightness of the card. But I've used different coloured cards today. I might still add the wax, I might not. We'll see when we get there. Okay, so that's where we're headed. So, first things first, card blank. And I just need to make my score line to crease my card. So I'll just bring my scoreboard in and then I can get rid of this. Now you want this to sit like that. So you want your crease to go across the middle, like across here. Okay, so what I do is I just make a mark inside where my crease line should be, because if I don't, I know I'll forget and I'll do it on the wrong line, crease it, and then I've wasted that piece of card. Okay, so I've already drawn a line on my scoreboard just to help me with this sort of thing, because it just makes it easier to line it up when you're doing this sort of thing, like diagonal scoring. I'm sure there are scoreboards out there that have already got a mark like that on it, but mine hasn't, so I've put one on. So I am scoring across the middle of the card, and then I'm going to fold it in half and just burnish that score line. Okay, that is as difficult as it's going to get. Okay, there's my easel card, Twisted Easel, made. Now then, I've already cut my papers, and all I did to cut my papers for this card was just to put my card onto my paper and just make a line across the middle where it's going to match here, and then I can just glue it down. So all I'm going to do is add my glue to my card base. If I open it out, then I won't get any on the other side. So if I add my glue to my card base, and then when I've added my paper, I can just trim it down, because it will be slightly too big. But that's fine, it'll only be a slither. And push it as near to the bottom as you can and as near to the middle. Okay. Told you this was an easy card. And then just trim this little edge off. So you see there's a tiny little edge here, and it's only fractional, so I'm going to take 2 seconds just to trim that off. Okay, so there's my first lot of paper down. Alright, now I'm going to put my base piece down just so that it's out of the way, over and done with, and then I can move on to the other. Now you can see I've used two different pieces just because I wanted this one to look a little bit different, really, no other reason. I'm going to put my paper down, and then I'm going to put my square where I'm going to write my greeting on top, and then that's that bit done, because then I can concentrate on all the other bits. Okay, so I'll just glue this. Again, I'm using Lisa's glue because it's amazing. I don't think you can beat it, and for the price, you know, glues are expensive, aren't they? So if you're going to spend money on glue, spend money on a good one. And for me, this is the best. So there we go. And again, you might have to trim the base bit, but I'm going to leave that because it's only very, very fractional. So that's my second piece. Now then, I'm going to put this in the middle, but I thought it would be nice to use some of the snowflake pieces, the little strips that are on the washi, but I don't want to use them across the whole of the card. So what I'm going to do is attempt to match them up so that they just sit either side of my square. I think that's about level. I could do it properly and use my ruler, which I suppose I should really. If I want it to look right, I might as well do it properly. So I'm just popping these across the middle just to give the inside of the card a little bit more interest, and really just to use the pieces of washi that I didn't use before, just to make it look a little bit different. So make sure I go right to the edge, and then hopefully they will line up, and then I can put my greeting piece the right way up inside my card. Okay, let's add that down as well. Told you this was quick, didn't I? I mean, the slowest part really is putting the washi on the card and cutting it out, because there is a bit of fussy cutting, but I do think it's worth the effort because they're beautiful images, and it's a shame not to use them. I know I've sort of wasted half a piece, but when it's 10 meters long. Okay, so there's my inside of my card more or less finished, and I've got the poinsettia to put here in the corner, but I want to concentrate on the front. Okay, so I've already added my washi to cardstock. Now I have used Lisa's cardstock. I used quite a thick cardstock for the sample that I made, and to be honest, it made it really difficult for cutting out. So I've used Lisa's cardstock because it's a lighter weight card. It still does what I want it to do. It will still sit proud on my card and still be quite substantial, but not too much that you can't cut it out. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to place this right up to the corner so that it lines up with the edge of the main piece of card. All right, and then line it up along the bottom. Now obviously it doesn't go all the way to the end, so I've used another piece and I've just cut the piece of flower from the one side. So if I show you the piece of washi that I used, then it'll make more sense. So this is the piece I've used, okay, and I've just put that onto card, and I've just cut this bottom bit out here. All right, and then because it doesn't meet at the end, I've just cut this piece of washi and just used this piece here. Well, that's what I've done. Okay, so I've just used pieces of the washi, stuck them down on card, and then cut them out. So we're going to add this down here. So I'm going to glue this. Now remember that you're not going to add glue to all of this. So when you've lined it up, open your card out, flip it over, and just draw a line on the back, because that's where you don't want your glue to go past. So I've got my line here, can you see? It's only very, very faint because I don't want it sort of showing. So I'm only putting glue this side of the line because I don't want it to stick to the white part of the card. So then I'm just adding this and then placing my image across the bottom. Alright, so as I say, as near to the corner as you can get it, so that it lines up with the edge of the card, and making sure that it lines up along the bottom as well. Okay, so that when you open it out, it's going to sit proud of the corner, but when you fold it flat, it's going to sit within that square, so it's going to be great for posting. Okay, now you've got choices here. You can either use this piece from the edge and go over the middle, or you can just fill that gap and trim the end piece off. I'm going to fill the gap and trim the end piece off, which I think is what I did on this one, because I don't want a load of flowers over the top of this flower. All I want is just I just want it to flow across the whole of the page without looking as though I've added 2 or 3 layers. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just going to add my glue and I'm going to add it from this end upwards. I'm not sure how much I'm going to use yet, so if I just add glue all over, then I can decide where I want it. And again, I would open the card out, then you don't risk sticking anything to this side of the card. Okay, so I think I'm going to go about there, so that it just overlaps these that are already on there without looking too much, if you know what I mean. Okay, and then I can flip that over and then just trim that little piece off like so. So now you see you've got your panel across the bottom, so that when you open your card out, your poinsettias sit right the way across the bottom of that card. And I just think that looks really, really effective, especially against that plainer backing paper. See, on here I used the poinsettias out of the pad, and when I looked at it later I thought perhaps it was a little bit overkill on the poinsettias, so perhaps I needed something a little less intrusive in the background, which was why I went for the plainer patterned background. But I love that vintagey look. So then we come to the sentiment. Now you can add the sentiment wherever you like on the front, further down if you only want a little bit of overhang, or a little bit further up just to give it a bit of interest. And I think actually if you put it further up, I think the balance looks better. So that's what I'm doing. And again, I don't want glue across the whole piece, so I'm just going to hold my sentiment where I want it and draw a pencil line down the back. That way I'm not going to put any glue or glue pads, 3D pads, where I don't want them. Now I'm raising this up a little bit just because I can, and just because I want it to sort of look a little bit more interesting, if you like. So make sure I follow my line so that I don't go over it and then end up with glue pads, 3D pads showing where I don't want them to show. Okay, just take the backing off there and then line it up where it was going to go. Okay, so hopefully there's no pad showing behind the back there, which is exactly what I wanted. Okay, so that's my main piece. Now I need to come to the flower. Now you'll see that I have used a different coloured card for both of these pieces. Now I've cut them out of cardstock and then embossed them. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to cut away the leaves from behind the petals so that the leaves on here show behind, which is what I did on the other. Okay, now I've got a piece that I can match down here, and then I'll pop my red flower, my main flower part, on top of my leaves. So all I'm going to do is glue this to this, and then I'm going to put the whole thing on 3D pads so that it sits a little bit proud on here. Okay. I suppose I could just add a bit of gold wax in the middle. I'm going to tiny bit in the middle, just on those got sort of like seed heads. I put wax on, but not much. Okay, so my flower is going to sit here and will act as my stopper. Okay, that's why I'm putting 3D pads on it, because I don't want it to be flat, because it's going to be my stopper for my easel part. Then it needs to sit proud a little bit. So I'm going to use pads, and I'm going to use double pads. So I'm putting pads down, and then I'm going to put another pad on top of these just to give it a little bit of height. So what I would do is I'd just bend these petals up a little bit, not much, just enough to give them a little bit of shape, and then place it on your card where you want it. Now, bearing in mind, these are going to be your main part of your stopper, okay? So you want to give it some sort of stability, but I want the flower to be the right way up, because I think there is a wrong way and a right way to sit this flower. And for me, this is the right way, because this petal here folds downwards. And to me, that just means that flower sits that way up. I could be wrong. You can sit it any way you like, really. So I don't want too much of that square frame to show, so I'm going to sit it so that you can't really see the corner of that square frame inside. Okay, now I think that's perfect. I don't want the easel to be all the way back here. I just think it looks more natural if it's more forward, if you get me. Okay, so then my final little thing is just to add epoxy domes onto the top here. Now, because most of my card is red and stuff, I think I'm going to go with dark ones so that they stand out. And these are, just trying to work out what page these will be from. They stick fabulously, these. I can't work out what page they'll be from. Probably one of the backing paper, one of the more vintagey patterned papers. But I don't want it to stand out and sort of, you know, hit you in the face. I just wanted it to stand out and just give that last little bit of finishing touch to it. Okay, so it's difficult to show you a twisted easel card in one go, so I'm going to hold it up at an angle. Bearing in mind this bit will be flat. So there you go, there's your twisted easel, and I'm much happier with this poinsettia than the other one. I definitely used the wrong colour card on the first one. I'm much happier with this. But that's not to say I won't use it, because I think they're equally as pretty, but for me this is the better one. So there you go, those are today's cards. I hope you enjoyed that. So thanks once again for joining me today. I'll be back with you on Monday the 30th of May. Have a fabulous weekend, everybody, and I'll see you all again very soon. Take care now. Bye.